What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. AEW's Double or Nothing pay-per-view is over, but AEW's Forbidden Door with New Japan Pro Wrestling is just less than a month away. What will be the fallout from Double or Nothing and the build-up for the Forbidden Door? Join us now as we look at this week's edition of Dynamite, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including plans for the Bloodline, people upset with MJF's promo, is Big Cass headed back to WWE, WWE signing an MMA fighter, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out Wrestlelamia.co.uk and our non-wrestling channel, Incredible. As always, we won't recap the matches, but just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good, or maybe in this case, the phenomenal. As number 1, MJF's Pipebomb promo. MJF's promo was a complete work. What a work. Hopefully MJF has resolved whatever problems he's had with AEW and he can channel his real-life frustrations into a storyline that heats things up over the summer. While work shoots can quickly turn into a self-parody, MJF utilized his mic skills to keep the fans guessing about how much was real and how much was a work. Naturally, AEW could have turned off his microphone at any time, but you can be sure some fans are wondering how much MJF really meant about what he said. Our only fear is Tony Khan becoming an on-air authority figure. Dear God, don't let that happen. Number 2, Miro is back. It was great to see Miro back, and while it was unfortunate that Johnny Elite, aka former superstar John Morrison, had to do the JOB for him, Miro's win meant more over a name talent than a random member of the Dark Order. Miro has a tough road ahead if he's looking for another title, as AEW's roster is more crowded than ever. Number 3, a sensational set. Dynamite's new set looks good, and this was a good way to start things off after last week's 3-year anniversary edition. The new set didn't feature anything revolutionary, but it never hurts to freshen things up. What do you guys think of the new look? Let us know in the comments down below. Number 4, good follow-up to Double or Nothing. Last night's Dynamite was a solid follow-up to Double or Nothing's pay-per-view, not because the show featured any banger matches, but because it featured a number of good follow-ups to the pay-per-view and continuing developments in several storylines. MJF's promo was undoubtedly the highlight of the show, but fans who watched Double or Nothing got a good, not great episode that didn't seem like filler or a show that treaded water. And number 5, Blood and Guts and Hair vs. Hair. And we're enjoying AEW's escalation of the Blackpool Combat Club and Jericho Appreciation Society feud, not only with the weekly showdowns and beatdowns, but the effective use of stipulation matches to enhance subsequent rematches. AEW doesn't do endless rematches, but 90% of the time, rematches will have some added stipulation, as seen with Jericho's upcoming Hair vs. Hair match with Ortiz. Blood and Guts should be an epic brawl too, but that was good. What about the bad? Is number 1, Wardlow vs. Mark Sterling feud? Or why is Wardlow working a program with smart Mark Sterling? If ever there was a program that seemed custom designed to stop a wrestler's momentum, that is it. Wardlow doesn't need to step into a world title picture, but the big man needs to move on to a program with somebody bigger than a curtain jerker on AEW Elevation or Dark. Number 2, does anyone know who the Japanese wrestlers are? And we're not talking for everybody here, but just some more casual fans, as does anyone in the US besides a small number of New Japan fans know who Hiroshi Tanahashi is? Well, probably more fans than we might think, but AEW has a challenge ahead of itself with its upcoming Forbidden Door pay-per-view. This will be the first time Tony Khan has to book 2 back-to-back pay-per-views within the course of a month and get the fans to invest in another pricey pay-per-view. It's not as if the show will feature curtain jerkers, but AEW needs to start hyping the show quickly if it wants to avoid an embarrassing buy rate. And we aren't predicting the show will fail, but it makes sense to put the hype machine into overdrive. Number 3, Too Little Too Late. Ruby Soho scored a win over Dr. Britt Baker, and all we can say is it's too little too late. Britt Baker is a highly protected star, which is good if you use her to help someone get over when she loses. However, last night's tag team match loss to Ruby Soho was meaningless. Baker should have lost at Double or Nothing when she wrestled Soho in the Owen Hart Women's Tournament final. Instead, Soho got a weak win that doesn't even seem like a consolation prize for its bad booking at Double or Nothing. And number 4, weak main event. Last night's main event between Moxley and Daniel Garcia was a bloody brawl, but it remains to be seen if Daniel Garcia has what it takes to be a true star. While AEW deserves credit for giving Garcia a big match against Moxley, this is something that belonged on Rampage, not AEW's flagship show. Now, there was nothing downright ugly, as AEW did a good job building off Double or Nothing, with AEW continuing the build for the Blackpool Combat Club's war with the Jericho Appreciation Society, the return of Miro, MJF's work shoot, Athena's looming confrontation with Jade Cargill, and Christian's bizarre behavior around Jungle Boy. Last night's show wasn't a barn burner, but there was enough to take a pause before starting the build-up for Forbidden Door. What do you guys think of Dynamite this week? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Now, first story looks at, does the WWE have any plans for the Bloodline's titles? And what's going on with the titles held by the Bloodline? As fans know, Hell in a Cell is just days away and there are no matches booked for the Bloodline. While we do know that Undisputed Champion Roman Reigns won't be wrestling, why aren't the Usos defending the Undisputed Tag Team Championship? Meltzer discussed this situation on a recent Wrestling Observer, saying, WWE obviously SmackDown on Friday is the go-home show for this unbelievable pay-per-view show. As a midweek, early week, or whatever early week, the Usos match with Nakamura and Riddle was not scheduled for Sunday's pay-per-view. Now it could be on Sunday's pay-per-view. Meltzer mentioned the rumored rumble between Riddle and Reigns and Money in the Bank, noting that it's unknown right now if Reigns will wrestle Riddle at the 1st July show or even wrestle. Meltzer seems baffled by the WWE's booking, join the crowd, and not putting the Usos' title defense on the Hell in a Cell card. I thought for sure that match would be on the Chicago show, because it's like, Chicago show, they've got a sold out crowd. You know, obviously Cody and Seth in the Hell in a Cell is a main event, and you've got the 3-way for the Raw Women's title. Well, they'll probably do something and add some matches. I mean, it makes no sense to me that the Usos match wouldn't be on this show. It doesn't even make sense, but we'll see. As we've noted, the WWE seems far less concerned with titles than ever before. Not only has the WWE reduced the number of titles, but it seems to be steering away from making title matches a reason to watch a premium event. How this will play out with ticket sales remains to be seen, but the WWE better hope the poor ticket sales that led to Money in the Bank's move to Allegiant Stadium to a smaller venue are related to this practice. Next up, Turner executives upset with MJF promos. MJF's powerful profanity-laced promo on Dynamite has led to talk as to how Warner Bros. Discovery executives felt about the language. Meltzer discussed the situation on the Wrestling Observer Radio, saying, the Warner Bros. Discovery executives had a big party last night after the show and everybody seemed happy, but I wonder how many of them will be like, just as an example, like TSN in Canada. Some of those swear words got through on live television and they're not going to be happy with that. Meltzer's speculation is just that, speculation, but he does raise a good point how Tony Khan's new business partners will react to things. There's no getting around the fact that AEW has to deal with a new regime, a regime which could decide professional wrestling isn't part of their long-term content strategy. In fact, a negative reaction could affect Dynamite and Rampage's place on TNT and TBS. You may recall that Warner Media, which previously owned TBS and TNT, recently merged with Discovery Inc., forming Warner Bros. Discovery. Next up, Big Cass headed back to WWE. There's interesting news concerning William Morrissey, aka former superstar Big Cass, as PW Insider reports that the big man has finished working for Impact Wrestling. Morrissey has come a long way from the days where his personal demons had fans wondering about his survival, let alone his wrestling career. His incredible comeback story and performances in the ring have led to rumors that the WWE might bring him back. Would you guys like to see the former Big Cass work? And finally, WWE signing an MMA fighter. And last but not least, it looks like the WWE's women's division may be getting another MMA fighter. Fightful Select is reporting that Bellator MMA star Valeria Loretta is expected to be signed by WWE if she hasn't already. We were told by WWE sources that Loretta made a great impression recently and seemed like a slam dunk to end up in the company. Fightful added that she's expected to report to the WWE Performance Center. But there you have it, folks. I'll look at this week's edition of Dynamite and the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.